You're listening to Saturday Morning Media. And now, back to our show. Here we go. Welcome back to the Grantcast, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Grant Baciocco. It is a pleasure to have you here listening, downloading, checking out what I have to say, which really is of no consequence. Thank you for being here. Happy 2025. If this is the first time you are hearing me speak, which it may be in the new year, I hope you had a happy new year and a happy Christmas. And I want to send a special thank you and a special shout out to all the Saturday Morning Media Patreon patrons who get to hear these episodes pretty close to after they are finished edited. So if you want to get a jump on everybody else, consider becoming a patron. More information about that at the end of the show. Well, I am recording this on Thursday, December 26th, 2024, and not even 24 hours from Christmas. And it was an interesting Christmas. Has anyone else noticed this? This is something I was thinking about. I love Christmas traditions. I really, really do. And I have a soft spot in my heart for Christmas traditions that continue year after year. And I think that's part of the reason why, even though I kind of lost my desire to do it for a while, the Advent calendar is something that I have done for so many years. And I think I've probably talked about some of this stuff here on the Grantcast before, but when I was a kid, we had a tradition of my great aunt and my great grandmother would drive down to our house on Christmas morning to watch us open presents. And then we would go to their house for Christmas dinner. And Christmas Eve was usually spent at my grandparents' house, which was my dad's parents, with the family. And these were traditions, that from the time I was a young kid all the way through when I was in college, these were things that happened every single year. A tradition that started, I think, when I was in college, maybe, was the night before Christmas Eve, my family and I would go to a place called Ben Frank's. It is a corn dog stand in Redwood City, California. And we would sit in the car and we would eat corn dogs and onion chips and things that are very bad for you. And we would just sit and laugh, and it would be the four of us. And then when, I started dating my now wife, she would join us. And it was a lot of fun. And with my parents moving out of the Bay Area, and that tradition sort of has not continued, but it was a fun tradition to do. And incidentally, this is a side story. I would say well over 15 years ago, maybe it's close to 15, 10, close to 15 years ago, we were at one of these times at Ben Frank's, and it was the time of my life where I was sticking googly eyes on everything. And on the menu board at Ben Frank's, they had a corn dog. It was just a picture of a corn dog standing upright, which you couldn't really do with a corn dog. And I think next to it was a corn dog laying on its side, but this corn dog was standing up. And when no one was looking, it was just this tiny little roadside place. I stuck two googly eyes on this corn dog. And then we would laugh the years after that, where we would come back and the eyes would still be on the corn dog. And let me tell you, this is something that anybody who went to Ben Frank's would see. This wasn't hidden and nobody noticed it. This was their main menu board right above the cashier window, and this was in plain view. And every year when we would go, we would laugh and laugh and laugh. And just, I would say, 2021 or something was the last time I was up there, and I took my friends Russ and Eric there because we were up in the Bay Area working on a project, and just hilariously laughing that those googly eyes were still on that corn dog. Well, I'm happy to say that my brother has sort of continued the tradition of going to Ben Frank's in the days leading up to Christmas. But he sent me grim news, friends. He sent me grim news. They have completely changed the menu board. They've updated it, which, I mean, it needed updating back when I put the googly eyes on it. But so the googly eyes are no more. But man, oh man, they held their service. In fact, I'm thinking already that the artwork for this episode will be the picture of the menu board with the googly eyes on it, because rest well, googly eyes, you did your service, and you brought a lot of smiles to my family and hopefully to other people as well. So I love traditions, but one thing I noticed halfway through Christmas, that I hadn't watched A Christmas Story. And in fact, as I'm recording this on Thursday, December 26th, I didn't watch A Christmas Story this year. I didn't even, a lot of times we wouldn't necessarily watch A Christmas Story, but we would put on TBS or whichever channel it was on where they show it for 24 hours, and it would just be on in the background. And I didn't do that at all this year. There was no A Christmas Story. Now, I have the movie memorized, forwards, backwards, sideways, upside down, diagonally. I know what that movie is about, and I love that movie. And then I also realized that late on the day on Christmas, I didn't listen to two of my favorite Christmas songs. I don't know. It just got me thinking. I know those aren't necessarily traditions, but it just got me thinking about how, I don't know. I guess we change. You know, now, I don't think every Christmas since we've stopped having Christmas at my great aunt's house or my great grandmother's house has been horrible, because that is certainly not the case at all. But I think that breaking of that tradition kind of makes me look at Christmas now where it's like, well, Christmas is whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Christmas is whatever it is. Wherever you have Christmas, that's what it is. And this thought of tradition and doing the same thing every year is kind of not broken. I don't want to say that, but just not as important anymore. Because, you know, families change, families come together, break apart, whatever you want to say. And I don't know if I'm kind of thinking like me personally, I don't have any kids. If there's any traditions, probably if I had kids, there would be new traditions that would take over, but I don't have any kids. So I'm at this point where it's like, well, what are the traditions? There's no traditions, because the traditions I had with a kid are long gone. So it's just something I'm thinking about. I have no profound talk about things to say about this subject. Just something I noticed, just something I was thinking, and I thought, why not share it with you, the lucky listeners? I did want to talk about one thing that happened at Christmas. And the only thing that's Christmas related about this is that this happened right around Christmas. The Sunday before Christmas, I had a really rough night, physically. I think there was just a lot going on in my brain. There was, and thinking things in my brain, it went into my body, and I just did not sleep. And I was up till probably 4 a.m. Before I finally fell asleep a little bit, but then I was right up again like at 7 o'clock or something like that. And one of the things I noticed in the middle of the night, and some of you probably have had this happen as well, is like you can kind of hear your heartbeat in your ears, if that makes sense. Like especially if your head's leaning down on a pillow or something like that, you can hear your heartbeat in your head. And I could hear that. And sometimes like if I'm thinking about stuff and I clench my teeth, like I can hear my heartbeat. But in the wee hours of Saturday morning, I guess it would be Sunday morning, I couldn't hear my heartbeat, but what I could hear was this. And hopefully this is going to pick up, but this is what I could hear in my right eardrum. Just this constant, it was like somebody was tapping on my eardrum, just constantly. And it didn't stop, and it was this constant. And that continued through all day Sunday and all day Monday. And it would go away. Like if there were other noises in the room, I wouldn't be as focused on it. But I know that Monday night I was sitting editing a video because Sid Croft's assistant, Kelly, asked me if I could make a little video that Sid could put out for Christmas. And I said, yes, I'd be happy to. And I was sitting here editing it, and there was no other noise in my studio room. And this just got louder and louder and louder in my head. And I said, I think I need to go to urgent care, and I need to go see what this is. Now, of course, I am what you should probably know about me, and I think I've probably mentioned this on the show before, huge hypochondriac. So whatever is ailing me, I instantly think this is how it's going to be for the rest of my life. Whatever's hurting me, my knee hurts, sometimes I have a little pain in the back, but not as much as other people my age, and I'm very grateful for that. But like this throbbing in my ear, I was like, well, what if this is how it is for the rest of my life? And I'm going to constantly be hearing this noise in my ear for the rest of my life. And I was talking to my wife about it, and she's like, no, it's probably just, like congestion in your head. You'll be fine, da, da, da. And I was like, I got to go to urgent care because I got to have somebody look in there because what if there's, I don't know, whatever is going on in there. So I go to urgent care. Now, urgent care, there's a great urgent care place that's right near where we live. And I got there shortly after they opened, and there was probably about 16 people in front of me. But they were going quick. They were moving through people. And I didn't have to do a lot of the register stuff because I had gone there once before. I don't know if I talked about this on the show, but when I fell when we were moving out of our townhouse, and I fell on the stairs carrying a big box, and I fell, but I sat down on my leg, so I didn't fall down the stairs. I was walking downstairs, fell backwards on my leg, and kind of pinned my leg underneath me, and my knee was kind of tweaked. But again, in that moment, I was like, oh, what if this is it for the rest of my life? So I went to this. They brought me in, and they take you into one room, and they do all the blood pressure and the, how much do you weigh and all this stuff. And I said to the guys, very nice, I said, hey, thank you so much for working here today. I really appreciate it. And he said, oh, I'd rather be here than at home getting ready for Christmas. And we kind of laughed about it. And I go, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, I just let other people take care of that, and I come here and I do work, and that's all. That's good. So I thought that was funny. He brought me in this other room. The doctor comes in, looks at my ear. He looks in with a thing, and he was like, well, I think this is all just congestion. I think it's because I've been congested before, and like where your ears pop and you have to yawn to pop your ears, but I've never had this constant noise in my ear. And even though I could, that noise wasn't blocking out other noise, I could hear even soft noises. It was just like this pulsing in my eardrum. And he was like, I think it's just congestion. I'm going to give you a thing for Claritin D, which is over the counter. But he was like, if we put it in as a prescription, it might be cheaper because your insurance, whatever. I don't know what all that stuff is. But I'm going to give you some stuff for Claritin D, and then you can, we'll see if that helps it. So I said, okay. And he said, we're also going to wash out your ear. He goes, I can see like there's a hair in there, and it's possible that hair is going against the eardrum. And so I said, okay, now, and I've never had this done before, but they bring in what looks like, it's like a spray bottle, a water spray bottle. It's got a long hose on it, and then it's got a little nozzle on the end that they fit into your ear. And then you hold up a little tray under your ear, and they just squirt a ton of water into your ear. And then they take all this stuff. I'd never had that done before. That was an interesting situation. I did want to say, can you do the other ear? Because, you're cleaning out this ear. Can you just do the other one since we're here? But they didn't. They just cleaned out the one ear. So he sprays all the stuff in it. All the stuff dumps out. He wipes it all out. And then he looks in with the ear thing. And he goes, oh, you got to, hold on a second. You got a big ball of wax or whatever. And he takes like a swab. And he gets this thing out. And this horrible, disgusting ball of black wax was probably the size of a pea. That's what it looked like. So not huge, but coming out of your ear, that's something, right? And he's taking it over to the trash. And I said, boy, you still glad that you're here instead of at home preparing for Christmas? And he laughed and he said, that's hilarious. So anyway, the washing of the ear did not stop the constant pounding in my ear. And because the pharmacies were closed and things, I did not get my Claritin D and the other stuff until today, which actually I just took my first Claritin D right before this. And let me see if I can hear it a little bit. It's not as loud as it has been. And I'm wearing headphones right now. So hopefully this will take care of it. I was a little bit relieved yesterday in that I didn't hear it all day. And even when I kind of listened for it, I couldn't hear it. And sometimes during the day when I could hear it, it wasn't constant. It was more like almost like Morse code. I should learn Morse code and figure out what my eardrum is trying to tell me. Lose weight. But anyway, there you go. That's just the story. Hopefully that will all be taken care of by the time I record the next episode of the Grantcast. Had a wonderful Christmas otherwise. It wasn't hampered in any way. Went to a friend's house Christmas Eve for a Christmas Eve party. Went to another friend's house on Christmas Day. That was a lovely time. And what I really loved about kind of both things was there wasn't a lot of what I would say controversial talk. Politics or just anything like that. It was just, both evenings were just people getting together and chatting and having a good time and catching up and discussing fun things. And there was no people getting mad at other people's opinions or anything like that. It was just a good time. And that is a tradition that I could certainly get behind. See how I brought it all together? That's going to do it for this episode of the Grantcast. Thank you so much for listening, ladies and gentlemen. I really, really appreciate it. And I will be back soon with another episode of the Grantcast. This episode of the Grantcast was edited by Stephen Staver and was made possible by the Saturday Morning Media Patreon patrons who've gone to patreon.com/Saturday Morning Media and set up a pledge for as little as $1 a month. Patrons at the behind-the-scenes level and above get access to a video of the recording of these podcast episodes, and all patrons get the episodes the moment they are edited. Big shout out to all of our patrons, and a special shout out to our patron producers, Eve Cunning, Kathy Crawford, Tony Urbano, Brandy, David Akers, Paul, Scott Armstrong, Vicky Sebring, Ricky Chavez, Karina, Jeff Toro, and Lee Thompson. If you'd like to become a patron and receive episodes of the Grantcast before they are released, visit patreon.com/Saturday Morning Media and set up your monthly pledge today. And thank you for your support. This episode of the Grantcast is copyright 2025 Saturday Morning Media, Grant Baciocco, executive producer, all rights reserved. www.saturdaymorningmedia.com.
You've been listening to Saturday Morning Media. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.